This week from Columbia, finalizing the budget and attempting to. I'm Dean Fail, President and CEO of the York County Regional Chamber, and this is Taking Care of Business Through Advocacy. The Senate approved its version of the state's $13 billion budget in a rare unanimous vote last week, with less debate than normal on such a hefty budget. A smaller group of senators and representatives will meet in conference committee to address differences between the House and Senate version before the final budget heads to the governor's desk to be signed into law. Among the differences is the Senate budget includes an additional $42 million in pay raises for state employees, and the Senate budget excludes the $200 million for in-state bridge repairs that is in the House version. The budget is on track to be complete by the week of May 9th, when they are scheduled to adjourn. Most certain to be in the final budget is the $80 million allocated towards workforce development for critical need jobs in South Carolina. Last week, the House Education K-12 Subcommittee unanimously passed House Bill 4280, the Educator Assistant Act, that aims to increase teacher retention by reducing the burdens and expenses for teachers that causes them to abandon the field. Specifically, the bill reduces the need for teachers to submit documentation every 5 years to maintain their certification and provides teachers more time and leeway in their decision to return to their job each year so they can factor in salaries, which often aren't finalized until much later after their deadline to sign a new contract. It also gives them more leeway to break a contract as it pertains to missing work for medical reasons. Also in education, the Senate passed Senate Bill 39, titled Education Scholarships, that would allocate $6,000 to parents to cover qualified expenses for funding towards private schools. This legislation comes after weeks of debate. The scholarships are limited to 5,000 students in year one, and it will progress up to 15,000 students and be capped there by year 3, and are based on qualifications including a family's annual income as it relates to poverty. The bill now heads to the House. The State House also passed Senate Bill 604, which would give the remaining $586.6 million in ARPA funds to the Rural Infrastructure Authority for infrastructure and projects as they relate to state water and sewer systems. Finally, a delegation from our chamber headed to Columbia last week for a reception with local legislators and Governor McMaster at the governor's mansion. We also value our opportunities to connect with elected leadership in Columbia and appreciate the hospitality of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance and Governor McMaster for hosting us. We also enjoyed getting to spend a little time with the governor's bulldog, Mac. Thank you for joining us, and check back next week for more news on South Carolina legislation and how it affects local business.